Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes. We are with our brute energy melee willpower character Liberty Lass. She just hit level 17. We have 72,000 experience earned, 11,000 go to get to level 18. 114,000 influence left since we used roughly half of it to buy our current set of dual origin enhancements. This should be our last set of DOs. However, I do want to point out, unless they've changed the prices, and they may have since the last time I measured this, for a scrapper or a brute where you need both defense and offensive single origin enhancers to fully enhance your character, including health and stamina at level 22, takes over 800,000 influence. So we're definitely going to need to save up, and we're going to need to earn over 100,000 influence per level. So we're going to need to hope we get a lot of dual origin drops. It should be possible because in the original version of the game, before Homecoming eliminated training from the drops, training enhancements from the drops, they dropped up until level 15. And so at this point, we would have only had a few DOs drop to sell them. And what we've had actually, as you've seen, is whole trays full of them. So we should be a good 100,000 ahead of where we would have been probably after hitting level 17. We would barely have any influence left, but we still need another 750 or so thousand influence in the next 5 levels to be able to get a full set of SOs. If we can't afford that, I suspect I will have Silver Phoenix trade down some influence. But I want to mention something, guys. This character is level 17. Let me not jinx myself, so sort of knock on wood. But haven't died, haven't left the mission to buy inspirations, haven't traded down anything, and I've just taken what drops and sold it, and I haven't done anything like that. So even though this isn't an Iron Man run, we're basically doing one successfully, and the highest I ever got was 19 doing Iron Man mode with Iron Phoenix. So this character is on track to possibly beat her. We'll see what happens. So we are back here with Farid. He's going to introduce us to a new contact. I think, gosh, Wyatt does Clockwork and Trolls, and Olivia does Vajallock and Outcast. Okay, we're going to take Olivia because maybe she'll give us the Vajallock story arc. After we do him, we'll do Olivia. So there's no story arc here. So this is randomly taking street mission for Lost in Skyway City or Clockworks raiding a place. There actually is, and I don't know where you get it, but there actually is an awesome, very clever single mission, just standalone mission. It's not part of a story arc, where the Clockworks are trying to assemble something, and it's an acronym, and it's like the protonic laser, something that starts with an O, Tesla device, and when you put it together, it's the plot device, PLOT, and the plot device like alters reality. It's very cool because it's basically just like a spoof on the idea of a plot device, which is, in fiction, this something that the writer uses to get to happen what he wants to have or she wants to have happen, even though there's really no basis for it in the narrative. It's plot device. And it's just really cool that the Clockworks are trying to create a plot device so that they could make things happen that they want to have happen. So, so here's something that we're going to have to think about here. These guys are -1. That doesn't usually happen. We'll see what happens in the rest of the mission, but if that keeps up, we're going to abandon Farid because it might be that he is a level, like up to level 15 or 16 contact, and these guys are level 17, so that's all right. I guess it just started with a couple of weak guys at the beginning. Mission level is level 17, so we should be okay. So one of the things we're going to have to watch in this mission is endurance, because Clockworks with electricity drains endurance. It's unfortunate that is probably the most useless secondary effect of all power sets against the AI. It might be useful in PvP if one wishes to play PvP, because a lot of player characters struggle with endurance, but the AI never does. It never, if you watch its endurance bar, the villains never have endurance issues. And this was actually complained about in live, and especially was complained about once electricity came in, because the whole idea of electricity is it drains your endurance and makes it hard for you to manage your powers. And you can't actually do that to NPCs, because draining their endurance a little does nothing to them. They just, you can watch their endurance. It never goes down until you knock them unconscious. In fact, one of the easiest ways to tell that your blow has successfully knocked something unconscious is that its endurance bar drops to 0. And you know that you got it, And it's rather frustrating for people who have a power where one of its effects is to drain endurance from enemies, and it's an absolutely meaningless secondary effect, because you can't actually bring the villains to the point where their endurance management actually matters. Now, I think the reason that was done is because players know how to manage endurance, right? When I see my endurance going low, I know to do stuff to prevent myself from going to 0 endurance. And I guess they couldn't figure out how to program the villains, sort of program the AI to manage the endurance the way a player does. Doesn't seem like it would be all that hard, because it's not that complicated, right? You use Brawl and some of your lower, sort of lower endurance using abilities to, kind of wait and let your endurance bar tick up. And that doesn't seem like it would be that hard to write an if-then statement that takes that into account. But I guess they struggled enough with that they said, we're not going to actually have it matter. And what they probably should have done, and actually this was argued at one point by a friend of mine, just, okay, look, we understand that you're having trouble getting it to manage the endurance. Just take the endurance bar off of enemies. Don't even make it something that we can damage, right? Because it doesn't matter in the long run. I mean, look, just watch, they never run out of endurance anyway, right? Until you knock them unconscious. And so what's the point? Right, you really kind of can't drain them of endurance in a meaningful way. So just take the endurance bar off of the enemies, and don't worry, we won't worry about it. And then make electricity have some kind of a secondary effect that's not endurance drain. Oh, somebody's shooting at me. I didn't realize that. From up here. Oh. Okay, guys, how you doing? But keep an eye. Have you seen their endurance bars, until I knock them out, go below like 70%? Nope. No matter what powers they use. Now, the reality is, part of what's going on too is that a lot of times they just throw in brawls in the middle of their combat chain, which again is something that regular players wouldn't do. And I think, especially for minions and the low-level lieutenants, the reason they do that is because it's not as likely to, KO you, because the brawl doesn't do that much damage. So guys, one of the things you're going to have to do is keep an eye on that influence. We go back to what I was talking about at the beginning. And again, we kind of want to gain at least 100,000 per level. Now, we're expect to gain more as we level up, because as we get to the higher levels, we're going to get more influence back for the higher level, enhancements, right? A level 19 enhancement is worth more than a level 13 enhancement. I'm probably going to have to take a trip to the enhancement shops to see if, for example, the natural shop will give me a higher exchange rate on natural DOs than, say, the mutation shop will, which doesn't sell natural DOs. I cannot remember if Homecoming just made them all worth the same. I know that Rebirth did not. and in live it was not. You had to go to the right shop, which I always found very annoying. I don't mind having to go to the right shop to buy, but we should be able to sell everything for the same price regardless of shop. This idea of like having to fly to every single shop to sell 2 or 3 of the different enhancements is kind of silly. Speaking of enhancements and origins, again, remember there are 5 origins. If we look at our character, her origin is natural. Essentially, she was she has natural ability. She's not a mutant. She is not magical or whatever. So natural is 1. There are 5. Natural is 1. Magic is 1. Mutation is 1. Science is 1, and tech or technology is 1. And so those are the different types. And one of the things that you can do, and we used to do this, is pay attention to the types of enhancements that drop from enemies. So for example, this is a mutation science enhancement. And let's open up this. You can see, so the mutation is the curly thing on this side, and the science is the one with like the blue and the little hash marks here. You start to recognize it once you get used to it. And so if you are someone who has a science or a mutation, so what these guys do is they drop science, and they'll drop science DOs, so that means science tech or science mutation. And so if you're a science character, you want to try and find story arcs and missions with clockworks and hunt them down, because they will be much more likely to drop science-based enhancements, right? I'm natural. None of the enhancements these guys are going to drop will probably be of use to me, unless they drop a little bit of tech, because tech is has dual origins with natural. But assuming they just do science mutation or science tech, I can't use any of the drops, which means all I can do is sell them, right? And it can be very useful to fight enemies who drop the type of enhancements you can use, and especially once you get into SOs and they're dropping the type that you can use and it's a really good one, because then you can gain enhancements that are really useful for free by just knocking mobs out and getting a drop, which is actually quite nice. So if you want to do that, there are wikis out there. I don't know if there's one specifically for Homecoming, but there is an old City of Heroes wiki that that has not been updated, and they clearly state where this is only for the live game. Although now that Homecoming has a license, I don't know what they're going to do about that. But on there, you can look up almost any mob in the game, almost any type of enemy in the game, and it will tell you what types of enhancements they drop. I used to know them all, but honestly, it's been a while and I don't remember all of them. I think Vajallock is Vajallock is science as well, or possibly mutation. I would have bet that these guys drop tech, but I don't know. We'll have to see if we do a few more against them, what happens. The Circle of Thorns drop magic, of course. The family, and I think that Sue drop natural. We haven't fought any Sue yet. They are a martial arts group. They're very cool, except they have incredibly annoying lieutenants called sorcerers that teleport all over the place, and they can be a real pain in the neck to take out. So we're looking for the trophy. We haven't found it yet. Maybe it'll be here or over here. See, there must be another one, because I hear another soft. Here we go. Still don't have it. Well, well. So now we're gonna have to hunt for this thing. Oh, I hear one. I hear it over here. Oh boy, I wonder if it's inside the wall. That happens sometimes. Nope, it's over here. That used to happen a lot, actually. One of the reasons for being able to auto-complete a mission is because they never could completely kill the bug that sometimes villains that you had to kill, or the defeat, I guess, or objects you had to click on would end up spawning inside a wall, and you can't get them out of there. And I remember, in fact, at one point I was playing really early in the morning, like 7 a.m. or something, and I actually filed a customer service ticket. I was in a mission, and I filed a CSR ticket saying, like, hey, I'm in this mission, and I could hear the glowy, and I was standing by, it was in a cave, and I was standing by the wall, and you could hear it, and it was right there, and you knew for sure it was right there, because that's where it was the loudest, and you just, like, you couldn't click on it because it had spawned inside the wall. And I will say that this is live game. The CSR contacted me in about 15 minutes, and he said, stay where you are, or she, I don't remember. And I guess they came into the mission, they saw what was going on, and he just auto-completed it for me. And I was like, thanks very much, because all I had to do was click on that thing. Everything else, I had defeated everybody else. I'd clicked on everything else. Alright, Freed, we're going to leave you alone because I want to see if we can get the Vajallock story arc. So we're going to go to Steel Canyon and go to Olivia Chung. Because we're already 17th level. Vajallock, you got to do by 19th level, and that is a story arc where you can fight Dr. Vajallock himself. Vajallocks, we haven't seen them actually. This is bizarre. I haven't had a single mission against Vajallocks yet. Usually you can't avoid them. And part of it's just we've leveled up very quickly, and that's because of I think there's experience bonus going on. Plus we've had some patrol XP, which has also leveled us up really fast. The Vajallocks are controlled by an evil scientist named Dr. Vajallock, and he was the first arch-villain you fought in the game. You have to do it by level 19 or you out-level the story arc, and he was really brutally hard. And now you can fight him as an elite boss instead of an arch-villain. He's still really tough, but he should be beatable. I think if anybody's going to kill this character before level 20, it will be Dr. Vajallock. Alright, so outcasts are trying to recover the talisman of Zhongli, or we need to recover a tome from the Vajallock. Let's go fight the Vaj. I haven't fought them with this character. And here is a time mission. Remember I said they used to have these? As soon as you accept the mission, but they warned us that it would be timed. As soon as you accept the mission, you have an hour and a half to do it. It used to be you'd have like 30 minutes. So now this probably is going to be one of our toughest missions. The Vajallock have the ability to really do some damage with Toxic, which I don't think we have any resistance to. We can pull up the combat attributes. I can't monitor it, but we can take a look at the damage resistance. We have a little bit, tiny bit of toxic resistance, not enough to speak of. And however, the Reaper arrows, which do lethal damage, we do have resistance against those. We have 22%, same as smashing. Oops, I misclicked. There we go. So those guys there, those are trolls. And they're sort of green and mutated. And somebody said there isn't a second drug. I could have sworn there was. It's all just Superidine, and the trolls have just taken a lot of it compared to, say, Outcasts or Skulls. Sometimes there's a badge at these statues, and sometimes not. I can never remember which. I haven't gone really exploration badge hunting. I've grabbed a couple of the ones that I know where they are, but I haven't really gone badge hunting with this character. Alright. So we're going to head in here. We're going to have our first taste of the Vajallock, which these are undead. These are like animated cadavers. It's sort of like from, oh gosh, what's the name of that H.P. Lovecraft story about the doctor who's kind of a medical student, and he starts animating corpses. I can't remember the name of it. These guys, Vajallock. Other thing is they're very resistant to smashing, but they're not resistant to energy, I don't think. We gotta watch out for this guy with the backpack on, because he'll blow himself up. There he goes. It's annoying to me that he doesn't damage his comrades, but City of Heroes, you generally don't take damage from friendly fire. You can see we already took some pretty serious toxic damage from these guys. They're probably, the Vajallocks are probably the most brutal, universally brutal enemies in the pre-level 20 game, because they do toxic damage, and literally nobody at this level has toxic resistance. I mean, I have 5%, and that's about the most you're going to get. They do both ranged and melee attacks, and most like defense-based sets, if it's like a martial arts super reflex, or it's a super reflex scrapper or something, you probably don't have both melee and ranged defense slotted out yet at this level. One thing you want to do, one thing you want to do is you definitely want to get rid of the Reapers before you take out the and the Mortificators, before you take out the Abominations and the Cadavers. And the reason is that the Cadavers are stupid, and the Reapers are kind of controlling them, so the Reapers make them smarter. They become much dumber if you take the Reapers out first. The Mortificators, which are like Lieutenant level Reapers, those guys can actually res the Cadavers. They can wake them back up. So if you take out a couple of Cadavers, the Mortificator can bring them back. So strategically, what you want to do is come in here, do a little damage, let the Embalmed make the look that he's gonna look as he's gonna go to the bathroom or whatever, right, like that, and then you back away and he blows himself up, so that you don't have to deal with him, and then you just punch the crap out of these guys. For whatever reason, their vomit of sewage, their toxic puke thing, it seems to hit all the flipping time, even though it really doesn't. Your defense hasn't been reduced, and I don't think it has a really high 2-hit percentage. Projectile vomit, yeah, it's a 50% chance to hit, and yet it seems to hit way more often than 50%. And it does it to all my characters. The Vajallock are just extremely hard to fight, no matter what your character is. I've never had any, even a Stalker, right? They're easier than other characters a lot of times because they, come here, because they, you know, they can sneak and stuff. But even a Stalker is going to take damage from these guys and struggle. So one thing is you can, his explosion doesn't hurt the hostage. You can knock the guys who were trying to blow themselves up out of that animation by punching them and interrupt it, but they get right back into it very quickly. So here's a Mortificator. These are lieutenants. They have pretty brutal attacks, but these guys are nothing to us, really, because they do lethal damage. And, I don't know why it detargeted there, but they do lethal damage, and we don't have to worry about lethal damage. What's really going to damage us more is the vomit. These guys are pretty darn gross. But I do enjoy fighting them because they require you to actually, you know, pay attention, and they're very challenging. And when you get these yellow, like large groups of yellow cons, even as something like a brute, you got to do some pulling and try to like whittle them down. At least that's what I do. Right? So that one is taken care of. Now let's see if we can take that one out. Okay, actually I don't mind that I missed him because it knocks him down. It does, if it hits, it knocks him down and then takes him forever to get back up. Okay, so we have now, you know, kind of whittled down the group, and now there's just 2 of them. We can go right in and take them out. But yeah, for whatever reason, the Vajallock missions seem like they're purposely scaled hard. Not only are the Vajallocks difficult, they resist smashing, which is one of the most commonly done types of damage. They do toxic. But also, for whatever reason, a lot of the Vajallock missions seem to be scaled to have an awful lot of +1 enemies. And also, they have usually 4 to a spawn instead of 3. And I think the reason they do that is because these embalmed guys are going to blow themselves up. So they know that you're probably not going to have to punch them or defeat them all personally. But you have to be smart enough to get away from their explosion, or it does a lot of damage. I think it's fire damage that they do. And I remember dying over and over and over to these guys when I first played my Scrapper in City of Heroes when it launched. My gosh, I hated them because they were so brutal. Now that I know what I'm doing, they don't bother me so much, right? They are vulnerable, or at least non-resistant to lethal. They're not resistant, I don't think, to energy, and they're vulnerable to fire. Fire does a lot of damage to these guys. So when I changed, one of the things that made me want to stop doing smashing was endless numbers of Vajallock missions with the original Liberty Last character, who just kept dying and couldn't do anything to them because she was doing smashing. And then when I switched her to a fire character, right, a fire tanker, and she was doing AoE fire, it was no problem. She was like kicking their butts because they're vulnerable to it. But yeah, if anybody's going to take us out at this level, it'll be Vahziloks, and probably Dr. Vajallock, or possibly one of the bosses, like Stitchface or whatever their names are. And there's a Mort, as we call them. Yeah, we usually used to abbreviate names of things, right? We didn't call them Vajallock, we called them Vaj. We didn't call these guys Mortificators, we called them Morts. Just to abbreviate, you know, when you're typing, because, you know, we didn't really have much in the way of voice chat back then. So when you're typing, you want to do it quickly. I also had one friend who wasn't a very good typist, and he tried to... yeah, he got me. I didn't get out of the AoE fast enough. Because he wasn't a very good typist, he always tried to abbreviate things so that he didn't have to spell the whole name of, like, a Mortificator, because he would have typoed it. Or a Vajallock, he would have typoed. No, stop. Another thing they've changed, and I don't know when, and I think it was on Homecoming, because I'm pretty sure Rebirth still had some of this, but the rest wasn't just an on-off kind of toggle like Flight. It actually used to have a recharge, and the recharge time was 10 minutes, I believe, originally. So you could only rest once every 10 minutes. And I remember one of the blasters in my group, I noticed him resting a lot. And I'm like, how are you resting so much? He had like triple slotted rest and put single origin recharge enhancers on it so that he was able to, between that and hasten, he was able to rest like every 3 minutes. So almost after every couple, like every 2 battles, he would just hit rest. He was constantly resting. And I was like, wow, that seems like a huge waste of slots to me. But and so what happened is, yeah, then they actually reduced the rest time to, I believe, 5 minutes, and then I think the last was 3 minutes, but I could be wrong about that. But I'm pretty sure on Rebirth you still have to wait to recover, to get rest to recharge. I was trying to get that guy to blow himself up, but he didn't. Now he will. The thing is, you got to run away late enough that they blow up, but early enough that you don't get caught in the blast radius. The way an AoEs or actually any power works in City of Heroes is if you are in range when the opponent triggers it, it will hit even if you go out of range. You'll see this where somebody attacks me with a ranged power and I run around the corner and the ranged power will follow and hit me because the 2-hit was resolved when I was over here when they launched their power, and so the animation is going to still hit you because it's already been resolved. The same thing when they blow up. Right, if they blow up, if they start the blow up animation, right now, like see even if I had run out of there before the blow up special effects appeared, it still would have hit me because I was in the radius while he was triggering the power. So it takes time to like trigger, but once the trigger has hit, even if you get out of the radius in terms of the way the animation looks, you still are going to take the damage. You see how it curved and followed me? And we've leveled up. That will make this mission easier. And the Vajallock have dropped a bunch of science, so they are science as well. You can see this. These are all mutation science. Oh, and a single origin science. Right, so if we were a science character, we could use all of those drops. Right, so if I really want to go natural, right, and follow, get natural drops, I would be looking for missions against the Tsu. When we get into the 20s, we can do missions against the family. They are also natural. Family is like Mafia. They're one of the easiest types of enemies because they basically just shoot shotguns and pistols and machine guns at you, so it's just lethal, straight up lethal damage. At very high levels, they do get some other kinds of guns that are oh wait, let's get this guy first. That are that actually bypass defenses and stuff. I remember fighting them as I think it was Quintessence last, and I was like, why? Like, how the heck are these guys so darn brutal? And I realized that they have some other kinds of weaponry once you get to high level, but in the 20s, I don't think they do. One of the things I should probably do, I gotta look into what they're like on Homecoming. He's gonna blow up, isn't he? Yeah. But he missed me. I gotta look into what they're like on Homecoming, but I actually would kind of like to try a human-only Peacebringer Chaldean. I do not like at all the other forms of the Chaldeans, nor do I like having to slot those forms. I don't like that mechanic at all, but the base powers that don't include the alternate forms that you get with Chaldeans are actually pretty cool, and they're pretty neat looking. And Chaldeans, you can actually play them almost like a what is it, the Sentinel or whatever that they have now archetype, where you're doing ranged, partly ranged, partly melee offensive powers, and then you have some defensive powers. The Chaldeans have some pretty nice, the Peacebringers have some pretty nice defensive powers. The main problem with them is that you're always going to fight an enemy or two in the missions that have your weakness, and you have absolutely no defense against it. So you have to carry the right inspirations and hope there aren't too many of them and you don't run out of the inspirations. I played a human-only Peacebringer to like 33rd or 4th level, and I really liked it. But I think that in live they changed Chaldeans to be they were supposed to be dependent on being in groups, and I think they made them even more so. And so I think I looked into it on Rebirth, and I said, no, the way it's been designed is so dependent on teams, and I was soloing everything and doing Let's Plays, and I can't team up when I'm doing this, guys, because it's distracting. I don't play my best, and I don't want to do that to teammates. Right? It's not fair, right? To be as distracted as I am when I'm talking and telling stories while I'm on a team with somebody else, it could lead to them face planting or something. I'm not going to do that. So, so if I'm doing it as a Let's Play, I can't really do something that has to be on a team. So I may try it and see how it goes. But I also think I'm going to look into... Ouch. I also think I'm going to look into the mechanics of Keldians and whether they've changed at all on Homecoming compared to the way they were on Rebirth. Because I don't remember exactly what they had done on the Rebirth server, but whatever I read about them, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this because they're so teaming dependent. Now, Keldians are always that way, right? What happens is some of their powers, like the one inherent power, just like the Brutes is Fury, right? Their inherent is like they get better on teams. However, you can play without that as long as there aren't any other artificial things in there that are like weakening you when you're not on a team. Ordinarily, when you've got a Keldian on your team, what you're doing is you're looking for the quantums, they're called, the guys with the quantum blasters. Those are the things that can just absolutely destroy. It's like kryptonite, and they can absolutely destroy a Keldian. And so, as a player, what you're doing when you have Keldians on your team is you look for those in the spawns, and you guys target them. Everybody else targets them, and then the plan is that you take them out so that they don't bother the Keldians. Right? You don't want the Keldians to get taken down. And I remember, and there's usually one, say one in a spawn on each like level in a map like this, maybe a few more. And I remember when I was playing on the very first team I had back in 2019 when Homecoming first started, I was on the, I think it was the name of the team. I don't know. It was the first team, and I left them, but there were like 3 Keldians on our team, so there were like 3, whatever they were, the Omega Blasters or the Quantum Blasters in several spawns, and like we tried to take them out, but it just took too long, and they managed to kill both of the Keldians or all 3 Keldians. The poor Keldians just kept getting face planted, and we were trying really hard to aggro those guys and to make sure that the Keldians weren't targeted, but or that we took them out before they could target the Keldians. But yeah, we weren't entirely successful. And as a scrapper at that level, I did not yet have taunting ability. I do take taunts as a scrapper, which most scrappers don't. But I don't take it in the very low levels because you really need your other powers first. And so I didn't have any ability to taunt anything. And I don't remember if we had a tanker. I think we had a brute. I don't know if the brute had taunt. Because again, we were only like this level. At that point, it was fairly early on. And there was this poor guy who was playing... Gosh, I can't remember the name. His character was really cool, and his character name was really cool, and I don't remember it. I'm going to have to go look at my notes. But he was new to City of Heroes. And he made and they had unlocked Keldians. I guess you don't have to at the time at least you didn't have to get to 50th level before getting a Keldian, I guess. And so he or maybe he was using somebody else's account, I don't remember. And he was playing this Keldian. He was like 12th or 13th level, and he just kept getting killed. And he's like, "What am I doing wrong?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's he couldn't solo his missions." And I was like, "All right, I'll go in the mission with you." Right, and this way as a scrapper, I was like, just wait for me to go in there and take down the quantum and then come in. And he was like, but you're gonna get, and I said, don't worry about me, I'm fine, I'm a scrapper, they don't have my weakness. Right, so we were fighting outcasts or something. Like, outcasts can't really do that much to me as a scrapper. I was like 17th level and he was like 12th level, so I sidekicked him up. And we went in there and I just said, stay away from the quantums, let me take them out. Once I've got him chewed down to half or something, or 1/3 hit points, you can come in because I'll have him down in a second or two, and he'll be aggroed to me. And so, yeah, I tried to help him, but man, they are hard. They're one of the harder archetypes. So maybe I should play them. I like playing the hard game, the challenge. As long as it's something that I feel like I can do fairly without it being like an obscenely hard challenge. Right? As long as it's not something where they made it so that you can't do it without being on a team, I probably will be able to do it. So maybe we'll do that. I still want to play a Sentinel, and then maybe we'll try a Keldian. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing Let's Plays with all of that. We'll see. I've also been thinking I might want to, since these servers are a lot more crowded and there are a lot more people, I might want to see if I can find another super group, like a roleplay group. I'll have to look around. Oh, ouch. Well, not too bad. Alright, we've freed the last person. Now we have to defeat Falair. And, ooh, is right there, right? Falair's a boss, so. Didn't even see her there. Alright, I want to take out this abomination first. Just because I don't want him pounding me. We are lucky. I didn't see Falair, but she's -1 level to me, so you can see how even so, she pretty well chewed down my hit points and stuff. Okay, so we've completed the mission. We've got a whole bunch of science drops now. So we can go to the science shop and sell those. And let's head out. And so what I want to do is we're going to check a couple of different shops. We'll look at the prices, so we'll confirm whether it really matters where you sell them, and then we'll level up, and then we'll stop. So there are shops around here. There's a magic store. Let's see, what do we got? All right, let me go to Steel Canyon. I know those shops better, and then we can level up with Valkyrie. And we'll be ready to stop. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I certainly have. I'm having a blast playing City of Heroes again. I hadn't played the game in about a year. I was starting to miss it. This used to happen when the game was live, right? I would play it for a while. I'd get tired of it, and you know, I wouldn't play for a while, and then I would start having like dreams that I was playing City of Heroes, and I'd wake up and be like, oh, I want to play this game again, and I would resubscribe. Sometimes it'd be 6 months, sometimes it'd be a year, you know, in between. And so, yeah, I really very much enjoy this game. And so, all right, let us go to the generic shop. Oh, wait, I don't know if the generic shop sells trainers. Let's go to the natural shop. So we're going to go to the natural shop. We don't have any natural enhancements. We have all science. We're going to take a look at the price of this science. Yeah, so let's put it at the top. And then we'll go to the science shop, which is unfortunately all the way on the other side of town. We'll go to the science shop and we will see what price they're offering to sell it, or to buy it back from us, for us to sell it to them. Right? And that'll tell me definitively, right, there's no science in here, so they should be giving us less money, less influence, if it matters. So here we go. They're offering to buy it for 3,495. Somebody remember that number. 3,500. For an SO, that seems very low. Let's go to the science shop. I'm going to pause it here, and I'll bring you back when we're there. Okay, so this is Orion Labs. Oh, I'm getting shot at. You guys got to be kidding me. Do you realize you're green cons to me? This is the council. These guys are Italian fascists from World War II, basically. Or they're the inheritors of them. Seriously, you guys are -2 to me, and you're attacking me. You're dumb. And you're attacking a brute. Don't you realize you have no chance? I guess they don't. That was quite the spawn. So there was, what, a boss and a lieutenant in there? Plus a couple of minions. So this is Orion Labs, as I was saying. This is the science shop. So $34.95 was the price. If we were going to sell it in that natural shop, what is it here? It's $34.95. So I guess it doesn't matter where you sell these guys, officially. You can sell them anywhere you want. These are all science, so we don't need any of those. We don't need any inventions below level 30, so we'll ditch all of those. I actually should go to Wentworth and see if I can sell some of that orange salvage just to get some influence for us, because we really don't need the salvage until we get to like level 30. Yeah, it'd be nice to keep it, but I'm pretty sure Silver Phoenix has a bunch of good salvage. All right, I'm going to pause it now. We're going to head to Blythe Square and we'll level up, and then we will end the episode. Okay, we're now at Blythe Square. We're going to level up. And let's take a look at level 18. We said we needed to try to get 100,000 influence per level, did we? Nope. So we are behind where we need to be. We only have 177,000 influence. Train up to next level, and let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. We get Taunter total focus. Rise to the challenge is what? Regeneration on self. Is it toggle? Ugh, another toggle. Don't want that right now. This is a extreme damage. That's super nice, but we haven't even slotted these guys yet. I don't feel like we need taunt. I actually think I'm going to get hover, so that we have our actual combat flight ability, right? Hover doesn't let you fly as fast, you can see, right, compared to this. But it does screw up your animation, which I don't like. Go away. Somebody else aggroed me. Goodbye, I'm leaving. But the advantage is you can use it in combat and everything. And the other advantage is we don't need to slot it, right? This gives us some breathing room that allows us to start slotting some of these other powers. We need to get these offensive powers slotted. And so I don't want to take yet another power that needs slots when we don't have enough slots. Let's take a look at Wentworth's and just see if we can sell some of this orange stuff. We might be able to, and maybe make a little bit of a profit. And I can show you guys at least how I do it. I don't know how good it is. We don't actually have to go to Wentworth's. You can type /AH. And somebody said the vault command does work, so let's see if I typoed it. /VAULT. Oh, you know what? We need to get off of that channel, I bet. Let's go to the local channel. Nope, it doesn't seem to work, guys. I don't see an error message. It just didn't pop up. So I don't know what the story is on that. Here's the merit vendor. Didn't I check for this person last time and didn't see them? So you can get sets here, right? Archetype origin enhancements. Brute's Fury, right? And so you need reward merits for these. So we need about 600 reward merits. We have 64, so we need 10 times as many. You get reward merits for doing story arcs. But you can see what they do. This one does accuracy damage. This one does damage, recharge, etc. Now, it doesn't look like that much because it's saying 14%, but these will level up with you. They don't have a level. So you can put them in whenever you want, and once you have one, you can like slot it. Once you have enough, once we have 100, we could slot it in. So there's Brute's Fury and Unrelenting Fury. And what you want to look at is the extra stuff. The 6th one does an extra little thing. So this one is a chance for extra regeneration and reduced endurance. And this one gives you a Fury bonus. So that's how those work. But it will be a while before we can purchase those. Let's take a look if we let's take a look at what salvage we have. Let's look at the orange. So we have like enriched plutonium or strand of fate. So let's take a look under invention. Let's take a look at enriched plutonium, right? And we can see what has it been selling for 400,000. There are way more for sale than there are bidding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up, but I'm going to undercut. I'm going to do it for half. My guess is there are buy orders up for around that much. Let's see if we can sell it. And it has sold, and it sold for 400,000, right? So somebody already had a buyout or up for 400,000. It's going to cost us 30,000 influence to get it out, but that's okay. We get the influence, and we now have 500,000, right? And we have actually should have done this one. We have 2 heads-up displays. Let's take a look at what that's selling for. That's selling for 500,000. Let's put 1 in here. We're just going to sell 1. We'll keep the other one. We'll put that up for 200,000 as well. And that one sold for 400,000. Guys, we're now ready for level 22. Right, so that's just that quick. So yes, we have some orange salvage. We might want some of those again in the future. There may be something we can't craft because of it, but as long as we have enough cash for SOs, I don't really care, because SOs are good enough. And if we have to, we can craft training invention enhancements that never expire. And I don't even know if we need to do that, because the real pain is unslotting and reslotting. And now that we have the upgrade, once we have SOs, who cares? Every 5 levels I can just hit the upgrade button, and I should have, if I just sell everything off, I should have tons of influence. And again, we also have tons of influence on our alternate character. I'm going to stop here. I'm actually going to log out in Wentworth and get some of the day job for Wentworth. I don't know what bonus it gives you. So this is the day trader, right? So here's what it gives you. It gives you, enemies won't notice this attack. What is that? Oh, it gives you extra salvage. Okay. All right, guys, so that's it. We'll stop here. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes.